Hey everyone. So you've probably run into the words turbo, turbocharger, supercharger, and you may be wondering what do they mean and what are they? Well, this is going to be a way of me explaining to you what they are, how they work, and really what are some of the advantages of them. All right, so a turbocharger and a supercharger are two options of a forced induction system, meaning they both take air, compress it, and force more air into the engine, creating more power. Now, they do this in different ways, and this is me explaining why a turbocharger is more efficient than a supercharger. This is not to say that a turbocharger is better than a supercharger overall, this is just at an efficiency standpoint. They both have pros, they both have cons. So, how does a turbocharger work? Well, a turbocharger works by two sides. It has the turbine side and the compressor side. So a turbocharger has exhaust coming in through this port, which spins the turbine wheel and then escapes through and goes out to the exhaust system. The turbine wheel is connected to the other side of the turbo where it is attached to a compressor wheel. The compressor wheel spins at the same rate as the turbine wheel, thus sucking air in from the outside, compressing it inside the turbo housing, and going out this port here. It then goes from this port into your engine, into the combustion chamber, creating a larger explosion and creating more power. And then the exhaust travels out, goes back to the turbo, repeating the cycle. So, how is this more efficient than a supercharger? Well, a supercharger is just one component that sits on the top of the engine and uses a belt to drive its compressor wheel. But because it uses a belt system, it's taking power away from the engine to spin the compressor wheel. And because of the amount of energy it takes to spin these wheels, or spin the wheels inside of a supercharger, it's actually reducing its overall efficiency because it is taking power to generate power. Whereas a turbocharger just generates power. It uses naturally wasted energy from the exhaust that just naturally escapes out of the engine and goes to the back. It uses that to generate power for the engine. It does not take any power away from the engine, it just provides power, making it more efficient than a supercharger. Again, this is all just at an efficiency standpoint between the two. So, you may be wondering, well, what are the advantages of a forced induction system? Well, one of them is a fuel economy standpoint. Now, it's unlikely that if you go out and buy a turbo kit or a supercharger kit and bolt it onto your car, you're actually going to see an increase in fuel economy. And that's because your engine is more than likely not engineered to handle a turbocharger or a supercharger. It may work, it may not. This is at a factory installed turbo point of view. So, car manufacturers can take a car, put a normal, naturally aspirated, or non-turboed engine, and it generates X amount of energy. Now they can take the same car and install a smaller engine and put a turbo on it and create the same amount of energy as the naturally aspirated version, if not more, but because it is a smaller engine, it uses less fuel, thus meaning better fuel economy. So, like I said, there's a couple cons to these things. One of which is installation. A turbocharger does take a lot of maneuvering and moving objects in the engine compartment to allow it to fit and actually function, because there's a couple other components that I did not mention that go and work alongside a turbo that just make it even more efficient. The other standpoint is price. Turbochargers can be very expensive. To give you a broad idea or a broad spectrum of pricings that you may be looking at if you are looking to buy a turbo for your car, is anywhere from $1,000 up to $6,000. Now there's going to be a few factors that play into that price, meaning brand of the turbo, the size of the turbo, or if you want a wastegate or a blow-off valve, which are the other components, the size of your intercooler. These all play into the price. But overall, you're looking into the thousands of dollars just to buy the kit. Not to mention the time that it takes to install the kit and all the maintenance that's involved in keeping the turbo up. to allow it to keep running efficiently. Now that is from a standpoint of a aftermarket turbo. Now you may be looking into buying a new car, and you may be wondering how much the price difference is for a new car. Well, I went onto Ford's website and I built two Ford F-150s. They are both identical and have the base package. The only difference being is that one had the 3.5 liter V6 turbocharged engine and the other had the 5 liter V8 naturally aspirated engine. Surprisingly enough, the turbo version, again, this is just the base models, the turbo engine came in at $800 cheaper than the V8 engine. So this may be the case for you. You may be actually looking at getting a better deal, meaning spending less money and getting an engine that can create close to, if not more, power, but being more fuel efficient. So that could be something that plays into your decision if you're looking to buy a new car. Now that is just for the Ford F-150. Different cars are going to have different prices and may be more expensive. Again, all I did was just look up the price of the Ford F-150. But I hope this gives you a better understanding of what a turbo is and how a turbocharger works and why it is more efficient than a supercharger. So that way the next time you see those words, you will now know more about it.